Welcome to my channel where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election in Nigeria. About 30 civil society organizations has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to declare his stand on the war against corruption, that he has been silent for too long on corruption. That is what we're going to talk about right now. And they say that he must declare war against corruption. And I will I can tell you for free, Tinubu will not declare such a war. He will not. And I will tell you why he will not declare war against corruption. But first of all, let us look at what these people are talking about. Why they are insisting that Tinubu must declare war against corruption in Nigeria. Because they also noted that throughout the campaign, he never said he will fight corruption. Of course, he's not alone. Atiku Abubakar was not talking about corruption, that he will fight corruption or how he will fight corruption. The only candidate among the top candidates that say he will fight corruption is Peter Obi of the Labour Party. But let's go. Let us see what these 30 civil society organizations, what they were saying, and then we'll come back and review the reason why I say Aswaju will not fight corruption. Let's go. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you will be among the first one. God bless you. Now let's go. About 30 civil society organizations have called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to declare his stand on the anti-corruption war. They said throughout his campaign, Tinubu did not spell out what he would do in the fight against corruption, adding that corruption having eaten deep into the fabrics of the country, the new president must declare what he stands for in the fight against the scourge. The civil society organizations are Accountability Lab Nigeria, African Center for Media and Information Literacy, Borno Coalition for Democracy and Progress, Budget Foundation, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, HIDA Resource Center, State of the Union, Tax Justice and Governance Platform, Transition Monitoring Group, Women in Media Communication Initiative, Zero Communication Coalition, Alliance for Credible Elections, Center Democracy and Development, and Center for Information Technology and Development. Others are Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, Environmental Rights Action, National Procurement Watch platforms, Resource Center for Human Rights and Civil Education, Partners on Electoral Reform, Say No Campaign Nigeria, Femi Falana Chamber, Health of Mother Aid Foundation, Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, Canopies Committee, Good Governance Team, Good Governance Team, 21st Century Foundation, Ocean, Mother and Marginalized Advocacy Center, and the International Center for Investigative Journalism, stroke Premium Times, at a press conference to unveil their anti-corruption report. The leader of the coalition and head of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, Transparency International, and the Transition Monitoring Group, Awal Musa Rafsanjani, said Tinubu should declare a national confidence on the war against corruption. The CSOs drew the attention of Tinubu that they will not allow corruption to overrun the country, adding that every aspect of the country should be freed of corruption. We must resist every tendency of corruption, Rafi, Rafsanjani said, adding that the Tinubu's administration seems not to have an anti-corruption fight as an agenda. He said, given the effect of corruption, which they are worried about, they are insisting that Tinubu must quickly move towards such a direction to tackle corruption. The president must declare a national confidence on the fight against corruption. The president should do that and follow it up with a clear action. If that does not happen, there is no way any serious investor will come and invest in the country. So he should declare war against corruption and send a clear statement that Nigeria is not a corrupt country. Can you imagine what this people are saying? That Nigeria is not. Nigeria is a corrupt country. Nigeria is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Transparency International ranked Nigeria among one of the most corrupt countries in the world, and is the second most corrupt country in West Africa. Nigeria is extremely corrupt because that was why David Cameron, former Prime Minister of Britain, called Nigeria and Afghanistan two most fantastically corrupt countries in the world. So how can this CFO say that if Tinubu declared that he is fighting corruption, then it will send a clear statement that Nigeria is not a corrupt country. Nigeria is a corrupt country, very corrupt country. That was why we can have the kind of election that we had in 2023, and it's being tolerated. So Nigeria is a very corrupt country. Let us not, this civil society organization, they should better know what they are talking about. Now let us continue. They say Tinubu should revive the fight against corruption because no sacrifice is too much. We must fight corruption at the institution level and also prevent it from happening, Rafsanjani said. The CSOs call for the passage of the Whistleblower and Witness Protection Bill into law, full implementation of the National Strategy on Anti-Corruption and the Freedom of Information Act 2011 across all states of the Federation, including the FCT, compulsory capacity building exercise for staff of public institutions on the provisions of the Public Procurement Act 2007, the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Act 2022, and Freedom of Information Act 2011, effective monitoring and implementation of the Beneficial Ownership Register in full compliance with the provisions of CAMA for improved transparency and accountability in public procurement processes, effective implementation of the provisions of the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Act 2022, Fiscal Responsibility Act, the Money Laundering and Prohibition Act 2022, and OGP NAP 3, improve funding for ICPC and Code of Conduct Bureau, as well as review by the National Assembly of the provisions of the acts establishing the ICPC, EFCC, and Code of Conduct Bureau regarding the mode of appointment of the chairman and other key laws used to prosecute cases to enable these institutions carry out their mandate effectively and independently without undue influence. This will also result in an increased number of convictions of politically exposed persons by the EFCC and the ICPC, and amending the enabling acts of the anti-corruption agencies to include tenure for heads of these agencies, investigation of all public officers and politically exposed persons named in the Pandora Papers, Panama Papers, Paradise Papers, Genco scandal, and FinCEN files, which, while those found guilty, be made to face the full wrath of the law as a deterrent to others. A reform of financial institutions such as the Central Bank of Nigeria and commercial banks, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Nigerian Ports Authority, and maritime sector. These have become money laundering gateways. Take concrete steps to foster greater judicial independence by institutionalizing real financial autonomy for the judiciary, which currently depends on disbursements that are often delayed by the executive. Demand that anti corruption and security agencies demonstrate greater transparency with regards to their budgets and expenditures, developing strategic capacity building spending plans. To this end, more respected technocrats, jurists, and civil society figures should be appointed to serve on the boards of the anti-corruption agencies and reduce the de facto control board, bo- and reduce the de facto control board members have over staffing and operational decisions, and provide a well-designed and operational system of asset declaration that can be an important element in the overall anti-corruption and integrity system through asset declaration available for public scrutiny. For genuinely confidential procurement in the defense sector, we recommend that a separate legal procedure should be designed allowing for monitoring by a confidential Senate committee and a unit with a suitable security clearance within the Bureau for Public Procurement. Also, there should be constructive working relationship among executive, legislative, and civil society to publish guidelines that allow for proper scrutiny of how security votes are budgeted, spent, and monitored, he said. Now, this is the what the civil society organizations in Nigeria are demanding for from Aswad Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, why did I say that Aswadu will not fight corruption? One, Aswadu did not participate in any of the debates before the election. So he never had the opportunity of telling Nigerians or talking to Nigerians. Of course, he participated in campaigns where he would just make a brief appearance for 5 minutes and the campaign is over, or they dance and the campaign is over. He never talked about fighting corruption. Fighting corruption was never in his agenda. And you cannot give what you don't have. So I found it strange that these civil society organizations did not know that Tinubu would not fight corruption because that was not his agenda for Nigeria. Now they think they can impose it on Tinubu to fight corruption. He will not fight corruption. It is not his agenda. Even if it is in his manifesto, which I doubt if up to one quarter of Nigerians has ever seen the manifesto, even to read it. It's not enough for anyone to believe that Aswad will fight corruption. Okay? Because, look, as I said, the only person that said he will fight corruption, and people believe that if he is on the seat, really, people will be forced to sit up, knowing that there will be war against corruption, is Peter Obi. People will be forced to know that there will be accountability because he was saying it from the campaign, and from his body language, you know that there's just no way it will be business as usual under President Peter Obi. Not at all. He will ensure that there's a war against corruption. And people will know that there's a new sheriff in town. So these CSOs, I found it funny when they said that even throughout his campaign. Now let us assume that right now it is believed that Tinubu was voted by Nigerians in the election because he is the president right now, although this matter is being challenged in court. Now, there are people who voted for him despite the fact that he never said he will fight corruption. It means that those people are comfortable with corruption. So they are not looking for a president who will fight corruption. Perhaps these CSOs, they have watched him since he became president, and they don't seem to see anything suggesting that he's fighting corruption. That's why they gather themselves together and address a press conference to deal with this matter, to pass a message to him. But let me give you a typical example to show you that fighting corruption is not in the agenda of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Freedom of Information Act was passed by Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in 2011. The Freedom of Information Act is one of the tools that is used to fight corruption in Nigeria and all over the world, because even in America, the Freedom of Information Act is there to give people access to information, because accessibility to information makes it easier for people to understand how government works, what is going on in government. So it brings openness, transparency, accountability. Do you know that Lagos State government took federal government to court that Freedom of Information Act cannot operate in Lagos State? And Lagos State is in the pockets of Bola Ahmed Tinubu since 1999. Lagos State government took federal government to court that Freedom of Information Act, that Lagos State is not among the states that it can operate on. Because Lagos State government, that Tinubu had been in charge, even by proxy, as the godfather and everything. The Freedom of Information Act does not operate in Lagos State. They went to court to challenge federal government. So nobody can see the book of Lagos State government. Their book are as dark as you can think of. It is not transparent. They are not ready. There are several organizations that have written to Lagos State governments asking for information about the finances of Lagos State. They refuse to make it available. That is not the body language of a president coming from there. You think he will come to fight corruption. And one of the things they said that they want Federal Information Act to be operational everywhere. In Lagos, it's not operational. It is not. Lagos went to court to stop its operation in Lagos. Of course, when they went to court said that Freedom of Information Act is applicable in Lagos. Then Lagos State government went on appeal. So that's where Tinubu is coming from. And you expect him to come and fight corruption. Of course, it's not going to be his priority. I think his priority is to generate revenue, to tax Nigerians more, so that there could be more money in the country from Nigerians. Those are the areas he's more concerned about. How to generate revenue, how to, tax Nigerians to get as much money as possible from taxpayers so that government can have enough resources to do some things. Those are the areas of his strength, and Nigerians are going to pay the price for it. That is basically what is going to happen, and so many other things in that direction. If the Supreme Court eventually agrees that he is the man that should be there, I don't expect him to say that he will fight corruption. Even if he says this now because these CSOs are making noises about it, you don't expect him to pay much attention on that. That's not his area of strength. He's not like Muhammad Buhari, who made fighting corruption a sing song, but corruption multiplied under Buhari. In fact, their corruption increased exponentially under Buhari. Go and check the reports of the Transparency International from 2015 to date to 2022. Go and check it. There was an exponential increase in corruption in Nigeria, according to Transparency International ranking or corruption perception index. So if Buhari himself, who anti-corruption was his sing song, and they even humored him by making him the African anti-corruption champion, yet corruption was so endemic under his leadership. Then you now think that Buhari, Tinubu that didn't campaign about corruption, you want him to go and fight corruption. I don't think he has time for that. He has better things to do with his time. The only person that can fight corruption is Peter Obi. He is the only person that can really fight corruption. And you will see it, you will perceive it, you will feel it, you will see the reality of it. And he said he will do it. That's the only person of all the presidential candidates in the 2023 presidential election. So anybody who is believing that Tinubu will fight corruption, I don't want to go into the details of all the allegations against Tinubu when he was governor and after he became governor and all that. I don't want to bother myself on all those things. Those things are information that most Nigerians are aware, which was why Nigerians voted the way they voted until INEC sabotaged Nigerians by stopping the transmission of presidential election results on real time, like they transmitted the House of Representatives and the senatorial election. Okay? Because Nigerians know that corruption is a serious problem in their country. Nigerians needed a man that will operate with a lot of transparency and accountability. Why most Nigerians voted for Peter Obi in 2023 presidential election is because they saw in his lifestyle, in his management of Anambra State government resources, that this man was so humble, so contented with whatever he had, that he wasn't looking for much. This is a man that is not collecting pension, unlike other former governors like Tinubu and the rest of them. This is a man who was given land allocation, which other governors used to grab, even what was not given to them. He rejected it and gave it to another person, a civil servant, a retiring civil servant, who he believed needed it most. That was why when he was at the palace of the Oba of Benin, the Oba was asking, I heard that they gave you land, you rejected it. Is it true? The Oba wanted to know, because there are some things that in the mind of Nigeria, in a society like Nigeria, in a highly corrupt country like Nigeria, in a highly endemic avarice country like Nigeria, people never thought that they can give somebody, put sugar in the mouth of somebody and he will spit it out. But he did. And he told the Oba, yes, it was true. I rejected it. So there was a lot of massive support for P2B because those are that was the new kind of leadership that Nigerians wanted. A leadership that will fight corruption, that will run a transparent government, and run a smaller government. So that's the kind of government that P2B was calling for. And many of these CSOs that are now telling us why to go and fight corruption, many of them, they didn't declare support for P2B. P2B that said that he would fight corruption. Many of them, they were not on the side of P2B. Now they expect Tinubu to fight corruption for them. So you want to, if you plant yam, you go and harvest cassava. Is that how it's done? Whatsoever a man soweth, that he shall reap. Many of them, they didn't support P2B. Many of them. And of course, many of them also do. So that's basically it. You can't give what you don't have. So I don't expect Aswad Bola Ahmed Tinubu to listen to them. Of course, he may give them some tokens in. Yeah, he can, of course, can appoint, can do one or two. After all, some people say are looking at this suspension of Bauer as one of the Tinubu fighting corruption. And I consider that laughable because that you remove the EFCC chairman doesn't mean you are fighting corruption. Because the EFCC man, you have, maybe you have some acts to grant with him just as you have some acts to grant with the CBN governor. So that's not that you are fighting corruption. You are just taking care of personal business. That's what it means. You are not fighting corruption. The person who would have fought corruption if he had been the person that was sworn in on May 29th, and everybody would have sat up, is Peter Obi. Make no mistake about it. Not Atiku Abubakar, not Aswad Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's Peter Obi that could fight corruption. And he was making Nigerians aware of that fact that he will fight corruption. And Nigerians believed him. His message on war against corruption, on the creation of a new Nigeria, Nigerians believe him that it was doable. Because he said it, they believe he can do it. But INEC sabotaged the process. It is now in court. The prayers of most Nigerians now is whether the courts will help to right the wrong of that was done by INEC. But it is now out of the hands of Nigerians. They have done their own part. It is now left for 6 or 7 men sitting in the appeal court or in the Supreme Court to determine what will become the fate of 200 million Nigerians going forward. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel and you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please try and like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. And with more people watching it, more people will be more enlightened on the things that need to be done to move our country forward as we wait and hope and pray for a new Nigeria that is possible. God bless you and yours.